மேடம் ஸ்கிரீன் ஷேர் பண்ணி விட்டுருங்க. மேடம் ஸ்கிரீன் ஷேர் பண்ணி விட்டுருங்க. Sir, you can share your screen.
Is already sharing there, sir?
Right, now it came.
Okay.
So now it is in live stream. Huh?
Okay, sir.
Okay. Now 11 o'clock. Shall we start the program?
Yeah, we can start.
Right. Okay, good morning. Myself, Professor D. Karthikeyan, Principal, SNS College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences, Coimbatore, and convener for this session. Sir, on behalf of management, faculties, and
Is already sharing there, sir?
I welcome all the participants to this two-day.
Okay.
So now it is in live stream. And
Okay,
this
okay.
webinar will have first introduction. 11 o'clock. Shall we start the program? Then
Yeah,
presentation
we can start.
and response to the
Okay,
queries.
good morning.
And finally, vote of thanks by the
Principal,
Minister
SNS College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences, Coimbatore,
Health Sciences.
and convener for this session.
Any
On behalf of
participants have
management,
any
faculties, and
queries?
Is already sharing there, sir?
Please
I
send
welcome all the
chat.
participants to this two-day.
Today is the first day,
two-day.
and
So now
today's
it is
speaker
live
is
stream.
Dr. Thiyagarajan.
And
Okay,
this
okay.
webinar will have first
Research
Shall we
Associate,
start the program?
Helmholtz
sir.
Institute
And
of for
response to the-
Pharmaceutical
okay, good
Research,
morning.
Saarland
And
University,
finally, vote of thanks by
Saarland,
the
University of Saarland, Germany. And he is going to talk about teach to reach the land. Production and quality control of dry powder.
Already sharing there, sir?
Tomorrow we are going to have the second module. Dr. Shiva Prasad Reddy,
Okay.
State authorized chief administrative pharmacist.
Yeah, we can
He is going to talk about the pharmaceutical practice and pharmacist service in Denmark. He is going to talk. Let me introduce the today's speaker, Dr. Thiyagarajan.
Production and quality control of
dry powder.
Already sharing there, sir?
Tomorrow we are going to have the second
the first
module.
day. So now
Dr. Shiva Prasad Reddy,
Okay.
State authorized chief administrative pharmacist.
Yeah, we can
He is going to talk about the pharmaceutical practice and pharmacist service in Denmark. He is going to talk. Let me introduce the today's speaker, Dr. Thiyagarajan.
Production and quality control of
dry powder.
Already sharing there, sir?
Tomorrow we are going to have the second
the first
module.
day. So now
Dr. Shiva Prasad Reddy,
Okay.
State authorized chief administrative pharmacist.
Yeah, we can
He is going to talk about the pharmaceutical practice and pharmacist service in Denmark. He is going to talk. Let me introduce the today's speaker, Dr. Thiyagarajan.
Production and quality control of
dry powder.
Already sharing there, sir?
Tomorrow we are going to have the second
the first day. So now
Dr. Shiva Prasad Reddy,
Okay.
State authorized chief administrative pharmacist.
Yeah, we can
He is going to talk about the pharmaceutical practice and pharmacist service in Denmark. He is going to talk. Let me introduce the today's speaker, Dr. Thiyagarajan.
production and quality control of
dry powder.
Already sharing there, sir?
Tomorrow we are going to have the second
the first day. So now
Dr. Shiva Prasad Reddy,
Okay.
State authorized chief administrative pharmacist.
Yeah, we can
He is going to talk about the pharmaceutical practice and pharmacist service in Denmark. He is going to talk. Let me introduce the today's speaker, Dr. Thiyagarajan.
production and quality control of
dry powder.
Already sharing there, sir?
Tomorrow we are going to have the second
the first day. So now
Dr. Shiva Prasad Reddy,
Okay.
State authorized chief administrative pharmacist.
Yeah, we can
He is going to talk about the pharmaceutical practice and pharmacist service in Denmark. He is going to talk. Let me introduce the today's speaker, Dr. Thiyagarajan.
production and quality control of
dry powder.
Already sharing there, sir?
Tomorrow we are going to have the second
the first day. So now
Dr. Shiva Prasad Reddy,
Okay.
State authorized chief administrative pharmacist.
Yeah, we can
He is going to talk about the pharmaceutical practice. 2009. Yes, today we have such a wonderful personality, Dr. Thiyagarajan Durairaj with us. And
The lobes and small branches are considered to be branchioles, and this microstructures and all branches containing alveolus, bronchioles, and respiratory bronchioles. Those microstructures and all branches containing alveolus, bronchioles, and respiratory bronchioles. Those microstructures and all branches containing alveolus, bronchioles, and respiratory bronchioles. Those are microstructures and all branches containing alveoles and respiratory bronchioles. Those are microstructures and all branches containing alveoles and respiratory bronchioles. Those are microstructures and all branches containing alveoles and respiratory bronchioles. Those are microstructures and all branches containing alveoles and respiratory bronchioles. Those are microstructures and all branches containing alveoles and respiratory bronchioles. Those are microstructures and all branches containing alveoles and respiratory bronchioles. Those are microstructures and all branches containing alveoles and respiratory bronchioles. Those are microstructures and all branches containing alveoles and respiratory bronchioles. Those are microstructures and all branches containing alveoles and respiratory bronchioles. Those are microstructures and all branches containing alveoles and respiratory bronchioles. Those are microstructures and all branches containing alveoles and respiratory bronchioles. Those are microstructures and all branches containing alveoles and respiratory bronchioles. Those are microstructures and all branches containing alveoles and respiratory bronchioles. Those are microstructures and all branches containing alveoles and respiratory bronchioles. Those are microstructures and all branches containing alveoles and respiratory bronchioles. Those are microstructures and all branches containing alveoles and respiratory bronchioles. Those are microstructures and all branches containing alveoles and respiratory bronchioles. Those are microstructures and all branches containing alveoles and respiratory bronchioles. Those are microstructures and all branches containing alveoles and respiratory bronchioles. Those are microstructures and all branches containing alveoles and respiratory bronchioles. So, what advantage this tripolar engineers gives us? Tripoders are more stable and provide us the freedom to load biomacromolecules, because in case of meter dose inhalers, if you put the biomacromolecules and as well as the propellant, there will be coagulation or disintegration of the biomolecules will happen. So this can be overcome by these tripolar inhalers. Then now let us see how do we produce these tripolar formulations. So these tripolar formulations can be produced as a whole active ingredient can be taken without adding any excipients. We can just produce this whole active ingredients as a microparticles, or we can make this active ingredients into nano suspension and put it in the excipients like a sugar-based excipients like lactose, fructose as well as trehalose. Then make the microparticles and the nano suspension will be embedded in them, or we can make a slightly bigger solid nanoparticles of the drug and we can put it in the sugar, then make the microparticles. Then we can have a system with nanoparticle in microparticles. Also we can make this nanoparticle, we can load this drug in the sophisticated soft materials like liposomes and like functionalized liposomes. Then load these liposomes in the microparticles so that it's like a well organized microstructure which can deliver active materials through liposomes. So we have to consider that we have to take the excipients which would be easily dissolvable as well as degradable. So some examples are lactose, fructose, trehalose as well as some other sugar. In some cases people also use a complicated sugar to make the particles like slightly heavy so that it can be uptaken by the macrophages quite easily. And leucine generally used to protect the surface and keep the particles well dispersed. And also temperature for the spray drying should be lower than 100 degrees Celsius for biomolecules and soft materials, because in case of higher temperature these biomolecules can degrade, as well as the soft materials can degrade its nature. And all materials should be non-toxic and non-allergic, because this has to be administered through the nasal route as well as from the mouth. So people should not get the cough to expel this drug while inhaling. So I have, in my career, I have seen these two spray dryer, like Buki 90 nano spray dryer as well as Buki 290 spray dryer, which is available with us in the same institute. And I also got the information from Procep T spray dryer chiller, which is quite big in case of size and can produce much higher volume. But the advantage with the Buki spray 90 nano spray dryer is it can take the smaller volume, like minimally like 5 ml of the medications can be spray dried, and it can produce very defined microstructure with that material. In case of Buki 290, we have to take a minimum of around 20 to 30 ml. So for research purpose, it is like a huge volume. So to start with, so I'm going to talk about Buki 90 nanospray dryer, which I am very convenient and also which I am very comfortable with it. So Buki spray dryer, the basic structure is the heater is on the top, and we have a spray dryer, and the spray dryer will disperse like droplets, and these droplets, when it's traveling through this distance, it can get dried, and it will become microparticles, and these microparticles will be collected based on the surface charge on this electrode, and this electrode is like this circle metal frame, and we have to scrap the microparticle from this circle metal frame. And I will also show that just how the modern recent spray head will be. The recent spray head has a chip with them, which is a nebulizer, and which can be cleaned quite easily, and also like it's very convenient to open. And this whole setup will come around 4 to 5 feet, and the other version also has slightly taller, like you can have a two frames higher, and it will be around 6 feet, and which is available in our lab. And I just wanted to show some of the videos, like how the spraying works, like in operation, like where here they have shown like three different like spray head is used, and they have shown how it is been like that is dispersed. So while production you may not see the difference, but you will see the difference in the particle size later. And I also would like to show some of the example microparticle which I produced in the lab. So in the first case, I have used only the lactose leucine solution, and the particles are made which is around 2 to 5 microns, and here slightly bigger particles are there. And then I introduced nano suspension into this particle. The particle size got slightly reduced, but the particle properties slightly were maintained the same. But I also introduced the nanoparticles of some like anti-TB drug to this lactose leucine solution. Then the particle shape has totally changed, but the size ranges will be almost same. So the next, I just wanted to explain how do we do this quality control in the lab scale. We have a conventional analysis like to study in any pharmaceutical product, like angle of repose, where we can see the flow property of the powders, and powder density analysis, where we can check how, like by tapping method, size measurements by static light scattering, and powder X-ray diffraction, where we can study whether the particles are amorphous or crystalline, and also we can do FTIR to check the particles nature, and the basic drug load can be calculated using UV or fluorescent or some other HPLC method. In a modern analytical technique, some of the other things also can be considered like for the after the production, which are like aerodynamic properties by next generation impactor, and stability of active ingredients by biological assays. Like if I take some antibiotic or some DNA or RNA, I have to like make sure that it is still active after the production. Then we can also check the stability of DNA by gel electrophoresis, like where we can see the intact DNA by running gel electrophoresis, and protein expression analysis for genetic materials. So if I'm sending some mRNA or siRNA, then we have to see the expression in the living cells by seeing maybe the color change or Western blot or some other method. And also gene expression studies in case of anti-cancer therapeutics, because most of the cancer are coming uh, for like by in the damage of genetic materials, and also like ELISA or Western blotting for protein therapeutics as well as some vaccine candidates. So in a conventional method, how do they do angle of repose is they will take the funnel type in a normal like lab, they will actually take the funnel and they put the powders, and you may need 50 to 100 grams of powder, and they will make the repose, then they'll calculate the angle. This angle considered to be angle of repose. There are some specific equations to calculate this angle of repose, which tells how the powders flow. So if the powder is like sticking to each other, the angle will increase and it will be a like taller repose. And if the powder is flowing very nicely or it has a very good flow property, the repose height will reduce. So thus the angle also will reduce. So then further, this powders also can be studied via X-ray diffraction patterns, and this X-ray diffraction is a technique to study crystallinity of the powders. So in crystalline materials, the molecules are arranged in a particular fashion so that when you apply the light to the powders, it can diffract in a particular fashion in any concentration. So this is like this is a what is it? This is a quality measurement for the crystalline powders. So if you produce some powders amorphous, this will not have this steep peak. This will have the broader peak, and also if you have the crystalline drug, which will have the sharper peaks. So based on that, you can differentiate what kind of powder you are producing. As well as here also we have to consider that in case if you want to dissolve the powders very quickly in the mucus and penetrate to the um, deeper lung, you should have the amorphous powder. And if you want some depot kind of therapy, like if you keep the powders in the lung and it may settle down in the mucus or on the top of the cell line, and it can stay there for longer time and release the drug slowly by slow disintegration. So for this, you need to maintain the crystalline structure in the formulation. Then further, these formulations can be analyzed using static light scattering. In static light scattering, it is a similar method like dynamic light scattering, but here the particle size is quite big. Thus, the static light scattering is used, and the scattered light will be measured in a particular angle to measure the average size of the particles. So here the scheme shows that how this works in the machine, the Partitia from Horibar, which is generally used to measure the size in pharmaceutical industry. And here the light will be passed through this bigger pivot, which may take the volume of around 15 to 20 ml, or in some bigger pivot it may take around 100 ml. So there the powders will be dispersed and sprayed through this mechanical device. Then the light will be passed through this pivot, and based on the scattering pattern, we will calculate the particle size. So in my case, I also personally checked this one with my formulation, and we could see the size ranged from 1 to 10 micron different this one, and the average size were like 2.9 micrometer, which is perfect to administer in the human lung. Then I would also like to show some aerodynamic properties, how it is being done, why we have to consider this. So if you see like typically if you take any particle from 10 to 30 micron size, it can deposit at the nose as well as like some pre-throat regions, and the size smaller than that, around 2 to 16 micron particles, can go through trachea, bronchi, bronchioles, and terminal bronchioles. and these are called conducting zone. Then respiratory zone, only the particles around like 0.5 mm to like like smaller than 2 micron particles can reach. So which is also and also I just wish to show this video. Just a minute. Yeah. So here you would see like how this size can be separated using the devices impactors uh, from the industry. Here you could see the arrangement of various plates of different size to segregate the powders. Yeah, so that was like quite a big video, so maybe like next time I can explain better. So here also the same principle I can explain it better. So the next generation impactor is a device like mechanically behaves as a lung which can separate particles based on the aerodynamic size. So if you see here the particles will be sent through this nozzle and we have 8 different stages. Each stages can segregate particle size of different size 8 to 0.3 micrometer, and initially the powder will be kept on the capsules and this capsule will be given to the dry powder inhaler device and this will be broken and supplied, and this after that this sample will be supplied in the normal breathing like speed which can call around 60 liters per minute, and these powders will deposit based on the size in different stages, and these stages can be collected and powder can be scrapped as well as can be collected with any other liquid, and this will be analyzed later like how much each size of the powders are deposited. So typically size 4.46 micron to size 0.94 microns are considered to be suitable for deeper lung applications, which is also called respirable fraction. In certain cases, we could see that this one example which is we have done in our lab. I'm showing here the detail. So here we have taken the 4 different powders which is produced in our lab, and we could see the larger aggregates, they are settled down in tube which is like this this place, and the stage 1 didn't collect much powder, which is also like favorable because the stage 1 is not considered to be a deeper lung, and from stage 2 to stage 5 we could see like a larger portion of the powders were collected which are like around 60 to 70% of the total population, and stage 6 to stage 8 considered to be it came around 10 to 20% this kind of wastage, or it can go or land which we don't know in the real application, but generally a formulation which can give around 60 to 70% of this respiratory portion considered to be a best formulation to be administered. So with this I would like to end the talk, and I would like to acknowledge and also I didn't want to go further about the further analysis because those are a bit complicated for the beginners, for the bachelor students to understand. So uh, so those things like we can understand later, but basically what we have to do is initially the conventional analysis like XRD, FTIR, this analysis we have to do. Later, typically the aerodynamics diameter is very important to study. These two aspects if you study, then for the biological assays, if you do it through the cells, that is more than sufficient for the initial sample screening. And later, if you're going for the real clinical study, you have to do all the in-depth analysis like genetic material expressions, everything. So with this, I would like to acknowledge my professor Klaus Michel Lehr and my colleague Brigitta and others, and as well as I would like to thank Professor D. Karthikeyan, Professor Kumar Nalasimham, Professor Dr. Nalin Himal Kumar, Dr. Subramanian, Dr. Rajalakshmi, and also Lalit for giving me this opportunity to present some aspects of this dry powder formulations with you and share the experience with you. And also, I'd like to invite you all for our next workshop and also conference, which is happening next year. This is also postponed due to Corona this year, and this is happening next year, September 2021. So, we will be happy to host you if you would like to attend the conference. Thank you all. Hello?
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much, sir.
Yes, sir. Any questions?
Now the session is open for discussion. And
Yeah.
dear participants, any queries, please send chat messages. Please check
Yeah.
it, sir. Anything is there?
Yeah, already I could see. So you have asked some question about any instruments to measure the angle of repose.
Yeah, please respond.
So the thing is, in my lab, when I was doing my B pharmacy, what we used to do is like we used to take the graph sheet or a sheet, and we use the funnel, and we used to like use the powder. Then like based on the circle diameter and as well as the height, we will calculate the angle of repose directly. That is a very conventional.
That is the traditional method. Yeah.
Traditional method.
Yeah, conventional.
So more.
Method we are using.
Yeah. So there you have to waste lot of powders, but in the modern, I'm not very like sure about the modern instrument name, but there are instruments available to measure this in a very small volume.
Any other questions?
Could I also stop the screen share?
Yeah, let it be. No issue.
Okay.
I think there is no further questions. Now I request Mr. Anand Babu to present the vote of thanks. Mr. Anand Babu.
Yes, sir. Good morning to everyone.
Yeah.
On behalf of SNS College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences, I take this opportunity to propose the vote of thanks to our speaker, Dr. Thiyagarajan, research associate from Helmholtz Institute of Pharmaceutical Research, for given the knowledge of production and quality control of dry powder. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And I would like to thank our beloved principal for his enthusiastic support. We organizing team are thankful to our management for their support to conduct this international webinar. And also our heartfelt thanks to the faculties and students from various organizations and our own institute. And finally, I would like to thank over the technical team supported for this international webinar. With the warm words, a kind message, we move to the end of the today's webinar. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. And I take this opportunity to thank particularly Mr. Lalit Mukesh. He is the person behind the screen to arrange this webinar. Thank you, Mr. Lalit Mukesh. And thank you very much, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're watching The Explosive Exclusive with me and Navika Kumar, and as always, we have sensational news that was broken around 1.5 hours back on this channel. A connection, a very, very dubious one, between the Rajiv Gandhi Foundation and a very shadowy Chinese entity which is thought to be, not by us, but by the Federal Bureau of Investigation in the United States, as a front for the Chinese PLA, the People's Liberation Army of China. Now, viewers, this is serious because what the FBI concludes, and it's not just the FBI, we're also learning it's the Australian authorities, it's the Australian intelligence and several other countries, that this particular organization, Navika, is involved in espionage
That's right. This organization, which is called the China Association for International Friendly Contact, is on the list of the Rajiv Gandhi Foundation's website, and the Rajiv Gandhi Institute for Contemporary Studies is actually in contact with this organization, and the United States Intelligence Department has called this organization a front of the Central Military Commission of China, reporting directly to the People's Liberation Army, and it does work of sending undercover agents. So people exchanged at this level through this organization are actually seen to be undercover agents involved in espionage, as well as propaganda and perspective building of not only the PLA but also the Communist Party of China. Now, these are the dubious links. We are not saying it. It is the United States of America in a report which has been submitted to the US Congress, which says all of this. What is this organization doing close in contact with the Rajiv Gandhi Foundation's Institute? The Rajiv Gandhi Foundation, which has received not once, not twice, but at least 4 times funds from the Embassy of China in Delhi, funds from the People's Republic of China, and at a time when the Congress Party was in government between 2004 and 2014. All of this is interlinked. You know, this is a mesh that is interlinked, because Sonia Gandhi heading 4 organizations. Each of these organizations, one takes money, the other wields power and influence, and on the other hand, there are indications of espionage kind of partnership, and there are recommendations coming in from this institute which talk about pushing for a free trade agreement at a time when India is facing deficits in Chinese trade. Rahul, this is a mesh of connections that needs to be uncovered, as well as the fact that the Congress's silence won't just help anymore. They need to come clean.
They need to come clean. 2004, 2005, it is the Rajiv Gandhi Trust that actually talks and substantiates on this link to the China Association for International Friendly Contact. Very, very interesting, viewers, because from here on, a large number of people, and we are getting political reactions coming in from the Bharatiya Janta Party. Let's just go straight across to our reporters. What we are hearing, viewers, is that the BJP is beginning to ask the question that were subsequent policies where the Congress Party seemed to be extremely soft on China, which is a trend that broadly continues today, according to the Bharatiya Janta Party, influenced because of its contacts with organizations that were linked, or the fronts of the PLA, which were promoting propaganda as well as infiltrating into organizations to try and soften them up. Madhav, is that really what the BJP contends? And is the BJP now going to come out and order some sort of an investigation? Because who knows how deep these Chinese agents would have penetrated.
Well, certainly, of course, Rahul, that is a matter of investigation, and it remains to be seen whether the government formally orders that investigation or not into this matter. But certainly politically, the statements that we've been seeing over the past 24 hours that have been coming in from the BJP really smack of a huge number of revelations, and really they seem to be just so many of them that it cannot be brushed aside as merely coincidental. From the money that was received, $300,000 over there, to in fact the fact that studies as far as free trade agreements, then the fact that dubious organizations, and the latest among them, being associated or subordinates of the Chinese Military Commission and the United Front there in China, only raising some serious questions. And what is very curious is that at a time where the past decade and a half, Chinese companies have grown rapidly, have become extremely influential, have worked in very sensitive areas such as telecom and electronics, and also at the time when globally there were fears about whether Chinese companies were gathering data for various purposes of their own national interest, comes this extremely, big revelation that we've broken here on Times Now. And thereby,
Navika, on this point, Navika, the US-China Economic and Security Review Commission, which is a body that presented a report, in fact, to the US Congress, makes some very striking observations, doesn't it?
That's right. This report, submitted on the 24th of August 2018, actually says that this is an organization which is a front for the Central Military Commission of China, and this organization is actually not just a front for the PLA, but also for the Communist Party of China. Now, in China, you know that there is no difference between the political party, Communist Party of China, and the government, because it's all one. And the military there, the Chinese army there, PLA, actually works hand in hand with all of these three organizations, and the fact that this
it's just
body,
the military wing of the Chinese Communist Party.
Absolutely. And the fact that this organization has been dubbed by the US intelligence study, as actually being a front, and it even says that any friendly exchanges between various countries and this particular organization are actually undercover agents.
Yes.
That's how the United States Intel has dubbed this particular body, and we know that FBI in the past has banned entry of Chinese representatives from these bodies from coming into the United States because of this.
Very quickly, yes, absolutely. Let me very quickly first tell you what this US report states. Chapter and verse. It says CAIFC, a front for the PLA's former General Political Department. CAIF may now report directly to PLA Military Commission. So this is what is subsequently also happened, viewers. CAIFC plays a role in intelligence collection for China. Now imagine an organization like that having an association with the Rajiv Gandhi Foundation, which is headed by Sonia Gandhi, who at that time, as Navika was telling us, was the boss of the UPA, was boss of the Congress Party, was boss of the NAC, the highest decision-making body during the UPA era, as well as, of course, most importantly, the boss of the Rajiv Gandhi Trust. The CAIFC has ties to ministries of state security also, so intelligence agencies, part of the state structure, deep state of China, platform for deploying undercover intelligence gatherers. In other words, spies. There is no other way of putting this. Megha Prasad, what has been the reaction of the Bharatiya Janta Party and the Congress most particularly to this devastating new disclosure?
Well, Rahul, the Congress, you must have heard a couple of statements, the very weak ones, coming from the Congress, only to say that these are diversionary and deflective, actions being taken by the BJP, and they are not addressing. They're perhaps doing this to deflect attention from the problem or the conflict that they're having, that the government is trying to deal with currently in the Galwan Valley. But then, apart from that, Rahul, no straight answers coming to these very specific questions. The questions are very simple, clear, legible. It's not difficult for the Congress party to understand what we are trying to ask, because there are documents to support the story that we are putting out, and hence it's only the best thing that they could do in their own interest, Rahul, was to give a clear answer. The latest revelation that we put out hours back, which is about this particular organization that you are describing, which is a frontal organization for the People's Republic of China, frontal organization for the Central Military Commission there, an organization that actually deals with espionage and subversion. That organization having an association with the Rajiv Gandhi Foundation, that's a very simple, straight question that we are asking. We are also asking questions about how the Prime Minister's National Relief Fund was, allocating money to the Rajiv Gandhi Foundation. These are simple questions, but there are no answers coming. Now, the BJP says, Rahul, I've been speaking to many of them since morning, and they say that this reeks of corruption. Now, it's their allegation. They say that it reeks of corruption, that it can be construed as a criminal action and as a criminal act, and that perhaps it requires some sort of an investigation. Whether the government thinks that it's appropriate for them to go ahead and investigate, we don't know. We've not got any answers on that. We've asked questions, no clarity on that.
Well, we're getting the first reaction, Megha, coming in from the BJP on this entire connection between the Rajiv Gandhi Institute for Contemporary Studies as well as this Chinese front of the PLA. Let's listen in to GVL Narasimha Rao, Member of Parliament of the BJP.
The Congress party is running away from the real questions that this country wants to know answers for. Since yesterday, all major television networks and media organizations in this country have come out with exposés which clearly show that the Congress party and its private foundations were on the payroll of the Chinese government. It is very shocking that the Congress-led Rajiv Gandhi Foundation, Sonia Gandhi chaired Rajiv Gandhi Foundation and Rajiv Gandhi Institute for Contemporary Studies were taking money from China.
Okay, big reactions coming in. The Bharatiya Janta Party going for the jugular. We are still awaiting a substantial reaction from the Congress Party. But let's go across to Inder Mohan Singh, who's a leader of the Congress Party. He joins us. Let's try to connect with him. I want to bring you in on this. Inder Mohan Singh ji, ये बहुत गंभीर मामला है. This is a very, very serious issue. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you.
Serious issue.
Sir, the Rajiv Gandhi Institute is actually having relations with an organization in China and an exchange program with them, and the organization by the United States intelligence has been said that it's a front for the PLA Chinese army. Do you think the Rajiv Gandhi Foundation, which ran, has close links to Sonia Gandhi, Congress president, and, the Congress was running the government in this country for 10 years. Is this an above board relationship with money coming in, exchange programs happening, and many say that this is a front organization for spying?
No, you asking this question there about 10-15 years ago. And I just want to tell you, it's an NGO.
देखिए एक मिनट, इंदर मोहन सिंह जी, आप पहले अपने कॉलर दोस्त को बोलो कि अभी कॉल ना करें आपको, बिकॉज योर वॉइस इज ब्रेकिंग. सो प्लीज टेल देम नॉट टू कीप बगिंग यू ऑन द phone. You're on TV. Please restore that connection. I want to go straight across to Ratan Sharda in the meantime.